Hi, I'm Tom Jackson, an artist, and this is Fritz McDonald, a writer, and we're here to talk about our graphic novel, 2184 and 1/2. I originally came up with the idea to have to write and to illustrate this graphic novel, and this was around 2016, and as you'll recall, there was election run-up going on. They're trying to figure out who was going to be running for president, and I was pretty disappointed at that time about who was running, how they were running, what the discourse was like, and I asked myself, well, what will this country be like, if these people are elected and or this individual was elected in 150 years or so? How would it change?
So we looked at the worst trends that were happening in 2016, the most negative trends, and we tried to imagine a world where, what if instead of those trends going away or those trends changing, they went on to become permanent over a period of several hundred years? How would that shape the country? How would that shape how people lived? Who would be in charge? All of that other stuff. So that was really the foundational idea, and it was Tom's idea to start with.
And Fritz is a graduate of the University of Iowa Writers Workshop and a good friend of mine for years, and so it was perfect to team up with Fritz and to develop this story. People had told me for years that my work reminded them of a graphic novel, but I really didn't have a story to tell. And once I came up with the concept of looking at the future and what the future would be like if these current negative trends developed, then I began working on illustrations for it. And Fritz and I spent about a year outlining this book and determining just who all the characters were and where they would go, what they would do, and what would the country look like. And so people were beginning to divide up, and social media had a lot to do with this too, in creating these communities. And things were getting much more tribal, and we thought, okay, well, what would the country look like if it really became tribal? And not only there were these tribes, but they were isolated. They couldn't communicate with each other. And who would be in charge? For decades now, there has been a growing disparity between wealthy people and people who have much less. And so if that gap continues, it got worse and worse, what would that look like? Who would be in charge of the country? And would there even be news? Would it all be fake news?
So we wanted to take this concept and transform it into a story. In other words, fill it out beyond just the idea and give it real characters, give it real locations. One of the most important parts of doing a graphic novel like this is world building, where you're really trying to create this environment, what the place looks like, several hundred years from now, and how things operate. And I think one of the most important things is we have to have a hero, and she's right here. When the novel starts, she has not actually seen the whole country. She's been taken care of by this troop of bikers who are they look like mean guys, but they're pretty compassionate guys. And they've raised her up and taught her how to be a mechanic, all these wonderful things. So what we did was we figured out a way to start her on a journey across the country to see the madness for herself. And that's really what this collage, an awful lot of this collage does. It shows you lots of different places and